Good morning, cadets. We have learned yesterday about capillary action. Whenever we take a thin capillary tube, a tube of very fine bore, a tube of fine bore is called capillary tube. Whenever we take a capillary tube and dip inside a liquid like water, suddenly we find the capillary rise, and we found out the equation for capillary rise. And equation for capillary rise is the height through which the liquid rises is given by 2s upon a rho g, where a is the radius of the capillary tube. A is the radius of capillary tube. And r is the, if r is the radius of the meniscus, the concave surface that is formed by the water here, then here a is equal to r by cos theta. As a result, we got 2s cos theta by r rho g. This is the height for capillary rise. Now what happens if the tube is of insufficient height? Capillary action for a capillary tube of insufficient height. The height through which the liquid rises is h naught, which is given by 2s cos theta upon r rho g, where theta is the acute angle of contact, r is the radius of the curvature, r is the radius of concave meniscus, that is radius of curvature of the water surface, water interface between air and liquid. Okay. Theta is the angle of contact. Rho is the density of the liquid like water. Now, if the height of this tube is less, let us take same capillary tube of insufficient height having same radius. Let it be of same radius. Then what happens? Here also water rises. Then the question arises, will the water rise up to here and overflow? So your immediate answer will be the water rises up to the brim and starts overflowing. But it doesn't happen so. Right? It's very interesting here. The water rises up to the brim and then stops. Even if you take still smaller capillary tube, means tube of still smaller height. Here also the water rises up to the brim and stops. What happens for the water to stop? It will come up to the brim and then stops. What happens? Let us see. In this case, the radius of curvature of this water surface, the radius of curvature of the liquid surface increases. Why? You see here, the radius of curvature is given by r is equal to a cos theta. The angle of contact is acute angle, as we have studied earlier. Theta is acute angle. For insufficient height of the capillary tube, for shorter height of the capillary tube, the water rises because of pressure difference, Pi minus P naught. Because of the pressure difference, excess pressure, the water rises and tries to move up to this height, but it doesn't find that height. Then what happens? It still tries to rise. As a result, at this point, if you see, the angle of contact theta increases. When the angle of contact theta increases, cos theta increases, then what happens? When the angle of contact theta increases, cos theta decreases. When cos theta decreases, what happens? The radius of curvature increases. The radius of curvature increases. Yesterday we got this equation, if you remember. r, it is not a, just correct, check this equation. It is a by r is equal to cos theta. A by r is equal to cos theta. Just check the equation. Okay, there is a correction here, there is a confusion. Okay, now it's not confusion. The Kepler height through which the liquid rises is given by 2s cos theta by a rho g, where a is the radius of the tube and theta is angle of contact, rho is the density. Okay, same thing can be written as h is equal to 2s upon r rho g, where r is equal to a by cos theta, as we have derived yesterday. R is the radius of the curvature, radius of concave viscous of the water. Okay, this is the equation. Now, when it rises to different height, let us take this height as h1. Now, for this h1, what happens? The radius of curvature increases. If you draw the radius of curvature and complete this, it is going to form, for this radius of curvature, it is going to form a sphere. A sphere of radius small r, right? Now the water level goes on searching for this height h, but that height h is not available. So it goes up to the brim. As a result, what happens? Here it will form a curvature. Again you will find a small curvature, and then if you draw the complete sphere of this curvature, the sphere will be of larger radius. Compared to this one, you can see here, the sphere will be of larger radius. This radius let us take as r1. So accordingly, I can write the height h1 for this insufficient tube is given by 2s upon r1 rho g. R1 rho g, where R1 here becomes equal to a by, because a is of the same radius of the Kepler tube, so radius of the Kepler tube is not changed. A by cos theta 1. Now the angle changes. The angle of contact increases. When theta 1 is the increased angle of contact, then cos theta 1 decreases. When cos theta 1 decreases, obviously radius of curvature increases. Therefore, R1 is the increased radius of curvature. So, in general, what we can say, if the tube is of insufficient height, if we dip it in the liquid like water, the water doesn't overflow. The water rises up to the brim, and at the opening it will have a curvature whose radius will be quite large. Radius of curvature will be r1. Let us say r1. This radius of curvature r1 will be quite large compared to the initial radius of curvature r, which is well inside the Kepler tube. Now let me see one more example. Suppose I have taken another Kepler tube of still smaller height, shorter height, insufficient height, and having the same radius of the tube, same radius, that is A is same. Then here also it doesn't overflow. H2, I am going to write the height H2 up to which it can rise from the water surface. Here it will have still a larger curvature up to the brim. And if you draw the sphere, and this sphere will be of still larger radius. Compared to this one, it will be still larger. So if you take this one as R2 for height x2, this is the radius of curvature R2, then I can write H2 for this shorter height as 2s, where s is the surface tension means constant, divided by R2 into rho g. So here in this case R2 is still again A upon cos theta 2. Again, theta 2 is greater than theta 1. Theta 1 is greater than theta. Theta 1 is greater than theta. So, as angle of contact increases, naturally what happens? Cos of that increased angle decreases. As cos value decreases, radius of curvature increases. So, as a result of increased radius of curvature, water rises up to that and attains that curvature of higher value, larger value, and stops. So, the water doesn't overflow. So, we can write here the capillary rise H1 is such that the water or the liquid rises up to the brim with increased radius of curvature R1 such that H1 is equal to 2s upon R1 rho g. So earlier equation is H. Initial equation for sufficient tube height is given by 2s upon R rho g. So if you compare these two equations, you can see here H is equal to 2s upon R rho g, H1 is equal to 2s upon R1 rho g. Only two factors are changing here. As H changes to H1, R changes to R1. 2s upon R rho g remain constant. So from these two equations, I can write this implies HR is equal to H1 R1, because if you take this to the left hand side, it becomes H1 R1. If you take this one to the left hand side, it becomes HR. So HR is equal to 2s upon rho g, which is equal to 2s upon rho g. So this 2s upon rho g remaining constant. So only variables are the radius of curvature. As h decreases to h1, r increases from r to r1. So you can write for the third case also you can include. So h r is equal to h1 r1 is equal to h2 r2. Here h2 is less than h1, h1 is less than h. This implies r2 is greater than r1, r1 is greater than r2. So just the radius of curvature of the concave meniscus increases, and then the water flows, the liquid flows up to that level, and then it stops. I think we got the point. So equation for capillary rise is 2s cos theta upon a rho g. So that can be also written as 2s upon r rho g using this equation which we have derived, r equal to a by cos theta. So for insufficient height h1 we get 2s upon r1 rho g. For this still shorter height we get h2 equal to 2s upon r2 rho g, such that h1 r1 is equal to h2 r2. h1 r1 is equal to h2 r2, which is also equal to hr. So from this we conclude that as the tube height becomes shorter and shorter from h it is reduced to h1, h1 to still reduced to h2. Then what is happening? Radius of curvature is increasing. So you will find the radius of curvature of the water level goes on increasing and comes up to the brim, and you can say it can fill up as the angle of contact increases. It can fill up to the brim and then stops. It will never overflow. This is the capillary action for capillary tube of insufficient height. This is very interesting result. Okay. So finally we conclude, if there is a capillary tube of insufficient height, then the capillary action takes place in such a way that the capillary rise H1 is such that the water rises up to the brim with increased radius of curvature R1, with increased radius of curvature R1 such that H1 is equal to 2s upon R1 rho g. Okay, so it we get a constant relation HR is equal to H1 R1. This you have to remember. HR is equal to H1 R1, that is also equal to H2 R2. So if the height is decreased to H1 and still further H2, then radius of curvature obviously increases from R to R1, R1 to R2. That's how we conclude. So water doesn't work. Therefore, the liquid like water does not overflow. It will come up to the brim and then stops. Let us solve a numerical problem. Look at the diagram and look at the problem. The lower end of a capillary tube of diameter 2 mm, this is a capillary tube of diameter 2 mm, is dipped 8 cm below the bottom. It is dipped 8 cm below the bottom, below the surface of water in a beaker. Then, what is the pressure required in the tube in order to blow a hemispherical bubble at its end in water? So here excess pressure is asked to be calculated. Here it is blown, air is blown such that it is going to form a hemispherical surface at the end of the tube. A hemispherical bubble is formed at the end of the tube. Since the tube is having air, the moment we dip, first a hemispherical bubble is formed and then the water rises. Right? At that instant, when the hemispherical bubble is formed at the edge, at the end, you are asked to calculate what is the pressure required in the tube in order to blow a hemispherical bubble at its end in the water. The surface tension of water is given 7.3 × 10⁻² Newton per meter, and 1 atmospheric pressure, that is the pressure exerted by air, which is also equal to pressure exerted here, Pi, pressure exerted by air is 1.01 × 10⁵ Pascal. Density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube, and take G equal to 9.8 meter per second square. Also, you are asked to calculate excess pressure. What is the excess pressure? Pi minus P naught. Pi minus P naught. Now, we have learned for the formation of air bubble in water or the formation of any gas bubble in a liquid, the excess pressure is given by Pi minus P naught equal to 2s upon R. So, I will write first excess pressure for a air bubble or any gas bubble or air cavity in water is given by Pi minus P naught equal to 2s upon R, where R is the radius of curvature, and here the radius of curvature is the same as the radius of the tube because it is forming a hemispherical surface, concave surface. So inside here air is there. So here there is air pressure. So Pi is going to be equal to the atmospheric pressure. So this is Pi minus P naught equal to 2s upon R. So first we will calculate what is P naught, what is the pressure exerted on this convex surface, which is at a depth of 8 cm. The tube is dipped at a depth of about 8 cm. this depth of 8 centimeter, what is P naught we need to calculate. And P naught here is absolute pressure, atmospheric pressure plus the pressure due to this column of liquid. The column of liquid here is of height h rho g. So I will write here the pressure P naught on the convex surface of hemispherical bubble. P naught is equal to PA. This is absolute pressure, that is PA. PA is atmospheric pressure. So we can calculate atmospheric pressure plus this one, this pressure due to liquid of height h. So it will be PA plus gauge pressure h rho g. So h is given, PA is given, we can calculate what is P naught. So P naught, PA is 1.01 into 10 raised to 5. This is given 1.01 into 10 raised to 5 pascals plus the height is about 8 centimeter. It is given here 8 centimeter below the water. So you can write h is equal to 8 centimeter. So 8 centimeter can be written as 8 into 10 to the power of minus 2. Rho, density of water, 1000 into 9.8 divided by, yes, that's it, 8 into 10 to the power of minus 2, 1000 into 9.8. So if you calculate this comes out to be, this comes out to be, so it comes out to be, if you simplify this, we get 1.01784 into 10 raised to 5 pascal. 1.01784 into 10 raised to 5 pascal. Now we can calculate what is Pi. What is Pi? We know that Pi minus P naught is equal to 2s upon r. Therefore, 2s upon r, if you just calculate, that gives you excess pressure. That is the second part. So first we can calculate excess pressure, then we can calculate what is Pi. So, okay, first we will calculate according to the problem. What is the pressure required in the tube? What is the pressure required in the tube? That we will calculate. Pressure required in the tube to form hemispherical bubble. Pi is equal to P naught plus 2s upon r. P naught plus 2s upon r. We already calculated what is P naught. So P naught is 1.01784 into 10 raised to 5. Just now we calculated, plus 2s upon r, 2 into surface tension of water is given 7.3 into 10 raised to minus 2 divided by r. 2s upon r. R is radius. Here the diameter of the tube is 2 millimeter. So if the diameter is 2 millimeter, radius is 1 millimeter. 1 into 10 to the power of minus 3 meter. Because you can write radius is equal to d by 2. It is equal to 1 mm. So if you simplify this, we get 1.01784 into 10 to the power of 5 plus the next simplification if you do, you are going to get 0.0100146 into 10 to the power of 5. So if you add this, you see, you are going to have 1.01784 plus 0.00146, almost it is 1.02 up to 3 decimal positions. If you have significant figures up to 3 numbers, up to 3 significant figures, it becomes 1.02. If you actually add, it becomes 1.03. So I can write it comes out to be 1.03 into 10 to the power of 5 pascals. Right? Then the question is, what is excess pressure? What is the excess pressure? That is the last question. Calculate the excess pressure. Now we got Pi and we know already P naught, that is equal to 2S upon R. So if you just look at this second term, this second term itself, this gives us the excess pressure, that is 0.00146, that comes out to be 146 pascal. So this value is, if you simplify decimal portions, you will get 146 pascals. 146 pascals is the excess pressure. So much of excess pressure is required to form the hemispherical bubble, hemispherical surface. The moment it is released, then what happens? This excess pressure pulls the water and the water rises up to form a capillary action, capillary rise. Okay. Let us solve one more problem. Now look at one more simple problem. What is the pressure inside the drop of mercury? Here it is a drop of mercury of radius 3 mm at room temperature. This is the drop of mercury, liquid drop of radius 3 mm. You are asked to calculate what is the Pi. If P naught is the air pressure, here it is surrounded by air. This is a mercury drop of 3 mm radius surrounded by air. So P naught excess, the P naught outside pressure is, outer pressure is atmospheric pressure, right? So you are asked to calculate what is the pressure inside the drop of mercury of radius 3 mm at room temperature. Surface tension of mercury at room temperature is given 4.65 × 10⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻ 7 into 10 raised to 5 pascals. Also calculate the excess pressure inside the liquid. We have excess pressure for a liquid drop. Excess pressure for a liquid drop is given by Pi minus P naught is equal to 2S upon R. Same standard equation. So if you directly calculate 2S upon R, that gives us excess pressure. So let us calculate 2 into 4.65 into 10 raised to minus 1 divided by radius. Radius is 3 millimeter. 3 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter. Minus 3 meters. So if you simplify this, you see it comes out to be 310 pascals. 0.31 into 10 raised to 3. So it comes out to be 310 pascal. So this is the excess pressure Pi minus P naught. Next, what is Pi? What is Pi? Internal pressure. Internal pressure must be greater than the external pressure. So Pi internal pressure is equal to P naught plus 2S upon R. P naught is nothing but atmospheric pressure. PA. P naught is equal to PA. Therefore, you can write PA is given 1.01 and 10 raised to 5 pascals plus 2s upon just now calculated 310 pascal. In terms of 10 raised to 5 it can be written 0.00 as we are written here 146 pascal as 0.00146 into 10 raised to 5. So 310 pascal can be written as 0.00310 into 10 raised to 5 pascal. So if you add this comes out to be 1.0131 into 10 raised to 5 pascal. So this is the excess, this is the internal pressure. Internal pressure in the mercury drop. So like this we can solve various types of numerical problems. So later on we will solve different types of problems also. Okay. Now one more thing we would like to discuss here, which I did not cover because it is not considered in the textbook. Let us discuss one more interesting forces. You see, when we take water on our palm, the water sticks to our palm. Like water taken on any metal surface, it sticks to metal. You all know that. Water, when it is taken in glass, water sticks to glass. So we call water as a wetting liquid or a sticking liquid. Whereas mercury doesn't stick at all. So mercury is non-sticking liquid. So we have discussed in great details. Now, when water sticks to glass, then there is a capillary rise. We have learned capillary action. There is a capillary rise in the capillary tube. Since mercury doesn't stick, then mercury will have capillary fall. And we have discussed the reason for that. That is obtuse angle of contact for mercury, acute angle of contact for the water. That is water-like liquids, which are sticking liquids. What do you mean by sticking? What do you mean by non-sticking? This is interesting thing. Whenever we take liquid or solid, there is interaction between the liquid molecules with solid molecules. When we take, for example, water on solid like glass or even plastic, then there is interaction between the water molecules with the solid molecules at the interface where there is a contact. If there is a force of attraction between them, then what happens? The surface energy of that solid liquid interface decreases, and thus the water sticks to the solid surface. There is a decrease in surface energy. So this attractive force existing between solid and liquid molecules, it is also called as adhesive force. There are two types of forces which I did not cover. I would like to explain them. So there are two types of forces. One is adhesive force and another one is cohesive force. Adhesive forces and cohesive forces. You are learning in chemistry in detail. Okay. Adhesive force is the force between molecules of different matter, or materials, like force between solid molecules and liquid molecules. So such type of forces are called as adhesive forces. The adhesive term you are well aware. Adhesive tape. If you take adhesive tape, right, it can be used to stick on any solid surface. So there is a paste of adhesive on that. So adhesive tape can be used to stick on a paper, on a glass, on a wood, on a metal. So adhesive means there is a force there is an interaction between solid molecules and liquid molecules. So the force existing between the molecules of different materials is called as adhesive force. Cohesive force means force existing between the same molecules of the same material. Force between force of interaction between molecules of same material. Same materials like force of attraction between liquid molecules. Force of attraction between molecules of a gas. Force of attraction between the molecules of a solid. If you take same material, the force of attraction existing between the molecules of the same material, we call them as cohesive forces. So if you remember this, it's very easy to understand. For example, when you take capillary action can be now very well understood. When you take a capillary tube and dip into water, what happens? Suddenly there is a capillary rise. This is called as capillary action. So capillary rise takes place because of the interaction between solid molecules of the tube, interaction between the solid molecules of the tube with the liquid molecules of the water. So there is a strong attractive adhesive force. The strong attractive adhesive force existing between the glass molecules and the water molecules make the water to rise. It is also due to another one, excess pressure that we have studied, Pi minus P naught. The excess pressure, as a consequence of excess pressure and as a consequence of surface tension, the water rises up to the certain level. At equilibrium, it will have a constant height, capillary rise. And here it forms a concave meniscus. At the point of contact, at the position of contact of the liquid surface with the glass, you see there is a rise in the level, and thus the rise in the level forms a concave meniscus, concave surface of the liquid air interface. So the reason is the solid molecules of the glass have a strong attractive force with liquid molecules of the water. So adhesive force here is are stronger than cohesive forces. Cohesive forces. As a result, the sticking, the liquid sticks to the solid surface. So liquid sticks to the solid surface and liquid wets the surface, and that is wetting. That's how whenever adhesive forces are stronger than cohesive forces, then what happens? Sticking takes place. That's what we call it as wetting. So such liquids are wetting liquids. So wetting liquids are the one wherein the adhesive forces are dominating over cohesive forces. As a result, there is a rise in the level and it will form a concave meniscus. But in the other case of mercury, what happens? Mercury doesn't stick. If you take a mercury drop, it forms a drop like this. It will have a obtuse angle of contact. This we have discussed in terms of solid liquid interface. The solid liquid interface, this is glass surface, right? The solid liquid interface, SSL, is quite large. The solid liquid interface energy, the solid liquid interface surface energy is quite larger than liquid air interface and solid air interface. Another reason here is the adhesive force is very less compared to cohesive force. In this case, like mercury, for liquids like mercury, cohesive forces are quite stronger than adhesive forces. Therefore, mercury doesn't wet the surface. Mercury like liquids do not wet the surface. Same thing happens whenever we consider water on a waxy surface, water on a greasy surface, water on an oily surface. When we take water on an oily or greasy surface or waxy surface, then water doesn't stick, water forms drops like this. In that case, the cohesive forces of the water are quite stronger than adhesive forces. The reason is excess liquid solid surface energy. It requires more, it is formed at a higher value of solid liquid interface surface energy, higher value of solid liquid surface energy. That is, the surface tension of such water with the waxy surface is very high. Okay, so in such cases, whenever a greasy spot or oily spot or any dirt which cannot be cleaned with water cannot clean the oily spot on the cloth or greasy spot on the cloth, then usually the cloth is soaked in detergents or soap water. Water is taken with the detergent powder. When the detergent powder is taken in the water, the detergent solution is prepared, soap solution is prepared. As a result, the surface tension of the water reduces, and when we dip and soak the greasy clothes or the clothes having dirt stains with grease spots or any other oil spot, then these detergent molecules form the surface action on the greasy spot and they reduce the surface tension. As a result, there is interaction between the detergent molecules with the greasy spot, and the greasy spot will be slowly taken out, and they form suspended greasy spots in the solution. Once it is taken out after 1 hour or after some time, after some hours, if it is taken out and washed with water thoroughly, when it is washed with running water thoroughly, then the greasy spot will be washed away. So by adding detergents and soap into the water, the surface energy is reduced, the surface tension is reduced. Another way is by increasing the temperature. By increasing the temperature, surface tension of water is reduced. So this is very important property of liquids. Just like viscosity, what we have learned, as we increase temperature, viscosity decreases. In the same way, as we increase temperature of liquids like water, the surface tension decreases, surface energy per unit area decreases, and thus clothes can be very conveniently and easily washed with the help of hot water. So this is how we conclude the topic of the fluid mechanics, fluid statics and fluid dynamics. We will solve 1 or 2 more problems in the next video, and we will start with thermal properties of matter. Mechanical properties of matter we have discussed. Next it is going to be thermal properties of matter. Thank you. Have a nice day.